end of my rope, like I'm just going to be a yoga instructor, so I can't do this anymore. And I found a maternity leave in a kindergarten class, so I covered that for about 2 months, and that was at a different school, and then I found another maternity leave in a 4th grade at another school, did that for 2 months, and then my original school, Cleveland, had a maternity leave starting, I think it was like March or something, in 5th grade, and so I actually went back to the same school, just in a different classroom, finished out the year, and then moved up to 5th grade the following year.
Okay. So the next set of questions is kind of more about stresses, supports, and self-care for you as a teacher. So tell me about your workload in the past school year. How manageable or unmanageable is it? How predictable or unpredictable are your responsibilities? And to what extent do you feel overwhelmed or, totally capable of handling what you're in charge of?
Sure. Okay. So I will say that I'm having the best year that I've ever had. And there's a few reasons for that. One, I teach 7th and 8th grade, which, so content-wise, I taught both of those last year. So I have experience using the curriculum. The second most powerful thing is I have kids that I've had for the past 3 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
I feel like, the first day of school, I feel like we were already a month or two ahead because, they knew me, they knew my expectations, they knew how our classroom is run. They just knew how I worked, and I knew how they worked. So we were able to really hit the ground running. And then the third thing that is working really great this year is that I have a very capable, not my co-teacher, but she's a special ed inclusion teacher. And so she's with me 50% of the time. There for the students' IEPs, but we do a little bit of co-teaching, and we share the classroom, so we do a lot of co-planning. And so that has been incredible. And so I will say last year was the worst year I've ever had. And that was because those 3 things I just mentioned, I did not have last year. So last year, I was teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I had previously never taught 7th or 8th grade before. So on top of having 3 levels, I had 2 new grade levels that I wasn't familiar with and 2 new curriculums that I wasn't familiar with. I had new kids that didn't know me and were mad about, like the 8th graders, they had had another math teacher when they were in 7th grade, and they were really mad that he had been let go. So there was just a lot of negativity to start. And then third, I had a teacher in my classroom that just did not do their job, and it was almost like another kid to take care of. And I also, I had just had a baby and had come back after having a baby, so that was hard already, but it was a really, really terrible year. And maybe this year is so wonderful because it's in stark contrast with last year, but it's just, and I think it does go in waves, but I've seen, 3 or 4 years ago, I had a really bad year. And so I guess that's good to know if you're in the depths of things, but also scares me. I'm like, this year is so great, I wonder how next year's going to go. So, definitely all about support. And then, like I said, both years, my principal has spent do whatever you need to do. So at least I've had that on my side this year. Yeah,
that's great. That's good that you felt that way, despite the whether it's a really stressful year or a pretty good year.
Right.
So you've definitely expressed that you feel like you get support from administrators, and then now your current co-teacher. What about colleagues or parents or families? How supportive or unsupportive do you feel like they are?
I feel like people are pretty supportive. I don't know if anyone's unsupportive. It's maybe just more so absent.
Okay.
I think too, so I teach, like I said, I teach 7th and 8th grade, and there's no other 7th and 8th grade math teacher in my building. So if I ever have that question of how would I teach this better better? Like, is this mathematically accurate? A lot of times I'm like, all right, let's see and find out how this goes. And, you know, there's a fifth, sixth math teacher, but she's new to the fifth, sixth. She's really overwhelmed, and we don't, you know, we just don't really talk. So in that retrospect, it's a little isolating that I'm the only one in my building to talk to. So whenever I go to math PDs, I feel like I'm grabbing everyone, like, can I talk to you about math? Because I have no one else to talk to. I think everyone's supportive of each other. I think so. Everyone is so overwhelmed with what they have going on that it's almost like when you feel like you need something from someone, it's like you have to say, I'm so sorry, I know you're busy, but and we tried something 2 years ago where we were trying to like observe each other, and I think it went okay, but I think people are so afraid of being evaluated. So like when someone is watching you, like when I really like to observe teachers, but I phrase it in the way because I want to learn from them, but I think people think that they're just constantly being evaluated and how good of a teacher are you. And I know that, so I don't know why I think this, but I just really don't give a lot of weight to test scores. Like I look at them and I use them and I, you know, for direction, but they're obviously one piece of a kid, and a lot of times they're having a really bad day or they don't take the test seriously or whatever. But I do know that there are people at our school who are very focused on the numbers, which is stressful because if your tests don't go very well, and a lot of our principal used to broadcast the data at the beginning of the year PowerPoint. And I know it would be very stressful for people because people would feel like, you know, if third grade scores went down, people felt like that was saying the third grade teachers are bad. And I think certain people think that way, but she hasn't done that in a few years. Maybe she found out that was kind of poor for staff morale. But so I think it definitely depends. I definitely think there's like clicks to I think any school probably has that, but there's certain teachers that get along, and I think a lot of our teachers, some have been there for 10, 20 years, so there's underlying issues with different kinds of relationships. And then I'm rambling on here. I think you mentioned parents, too.
Yeah.
So I feel like with the Hispanic population, their form of respect is they hold teachers pretty much in high regard, but it's very much like you are the teacher, you know best, and do whatever you need to do. I think though that I really struggle with parent communication, and just that there is a huge lack. Like our parents they don't communicate, and I think for various reasons. I think some of our parents are working 3 jobs and just do not have the time. I think especially as a 7th, 8th math teacher, I think a lot of my parents feel intimidated with the content. Like, you know, most of them didn't finish high school or are English language learners and feel like that they can't help. So I think that's a break. And then sadly, I think some of our parents are just like, I don't know if I could say don't care, but they don't want to help, and they just have their own stuff going on. And their kids know that they really can't go to them for help for whatever reason. So like I'll give you an example. I send a lot of parent contact just because that's what I do. So like I send an email every Friday about what we did, and I send it to 96 parents, and you know, one every week responds, thank you for the information, but otherwise, you know, it's kind of, I'm like, I don't know if you guys are reading this.
Right.
I think it's so frustrating, like, if there's a problem, people are very vocal, but otherwise it's like, you know, please don't contact me and I'm not going to contact you.
Yeah. You mentioned that a lot of your teachers have been there for a long time. Is there high turnover for either your teachers, you know, your staff or students?